Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, the show for disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries who know they're here to change the damn world. I'm Kylie Patchett, your voice and visibility catalyst, and here we dive into unapologetic truth, magnetic messaging, and visibility that actually feels good in your body, your bones, and your business. We share the stories of the out-of-the-box, neuro-sparkly, creative, witchy wild ones rewriting how we live, love, learn, and lead. This isn't about being louder. It's about being rooted, resonant, and regulated so you can be real, raw, and ready to roar. If you're done contorting yourself to fit the mold and you're ready to own your voice, your power, and your place in the revolution, welcome home. Let's dive in. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. It is a delicious spring day here in country Queensland as I'm recording this. And one of my most beautiful things about my office is that I have a crystal in the window and it's making all of these patterns. So I'm coming to you from the middle of the prism of light. Oh, there's one. Anywho, today I'm going to introduce you to what I call the Overpreneur, which is my personal Achilles heel when it comes to visibility. Now, this is what's interesting about these visibility fear frame archetypes, because we would immediately think of a visibility as like not wanting to be seen at all, not posting regularly, ghosting your community, not reaching out to make sales, that type of thing. But actually, visibility blocks can be even underneath that. So they're the ways in which you drive your business, which contributes to you being the best kept secret on the internet. I'm going to introduce you to my nemesis. So one thing I do want to say before I get started is for each of these fear frame archetypes, and as I've mentioned before, I've written a book about them back in 2015, the Overpreneur lines up to the sacral chakra. It lines up to the sacral center in human design. And if you know anything about the human design and the centers, you will know that there can be an imbalance in both the undefined centers and the defined centers. Now, for me, my Overpreneur is the one that gets in my way the most. So I would call her my Achilles heel. And I do happen to have an undefined sacral, which I find very interesting. Anyway, confessions of an Overpreneur. Here is how she plays out. An Overpreneur comes from a conditioned response that does not allow her to get in her body. So she lives from up here, very much like thinking, trying to run interference between her and life to make sure that there is nothing bad going to happen. There is a lot of hustle for hustle's sake. When I'm in a state of action, I can get very addicted to the state of action. And that means that I don't often understand, or I'm not connected enough in my body to realize when a period of hyperfocus has ended and I actually need to take a rest, to just chill the heck out. In my own business, and particularly in the first iteration of my online business, how this played out for me was that I set my entire business model up to be based on over-delivery, undercharging, working all around the night because I had clients all over the world. So I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning for coaching calls, doing coaching calls at 8 o'clock at night. I had no boundaries whatsoever. And I was so busy in my business serving my clients that I had no time to actually work on my business and therefore market, share, create collaborations, connections. So it might not seem like the Overpreneur is a visibility block, but actually she's a big F-off visibility block. Now, the other ways that she plays out is that we can put joy on pause. We can check out of visibility because more eyeballs on your work means more clients, more cash flow. But for an Overpreneur who is not conscious, something that plays out, more clients equals more responsibility. More clients equals more work. Now, that is not necessarily the case, but bear with me. And so I would not do the visibility and reach building activities that would allow more eyeballs to come to me and therefore more clients to flow into my business because I was already over delivering and over serving the ones that I had. So you can see how this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I'm working so hard, and we do come from a kind of set point of good girl grinding. So people pleasing, proving instead of trusting. When I look back, I would definitely say I paid the price through family time, through my own health, through my own self-confidence. And in the end, in 2017, something happened in our personal life and shit went downhill very quickly. And I just went, can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. It's not sustainable. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping women create soul-aligned and sustainable businesses. Because we live in a marketplace where everybody is going to tell you that the way to do it is scale. It's through strategy. It's always through growth. You've always got to be doing more and saying more and doing it. But if you are not aligned to your own value system, and or you've got parts of you that are scared to be seen, heard, and recognized, or parts of you that are scared to trust, like the overpreneur, that you can take some time out to rest and to play and to be fueled by joy. But the overpreneur doesn't trust that. So there's this striving, driving, and because she's not in her body, an overpreneur is often making decisions from here up in her head with a fear filter. And so she keeps on making decisions that creates more of the same in her business. So frustrating. I know her so well. I love me an overpreneur. When I start working with a client and I'm like, oh, little things that you're saying sound very familiar. There's a pattern of behavior here. The biggest stretch for an overpreneur is actually learning how to drop into her body, how to trust her sacral felt gut sense. I cannot tell you the amount of times in this iteration of my business where I have been planning, striving, driving in my head, and then gone, hang on a minute, I see where this is going. This is an old pattern. Okay, come back to center, shake it out, get into my body. How does my body feel about this? And my body and her wisdom is very clearly a no. In the old days, I would have been in my head, decided yes from a sense of fear, gone ahead and created more work for myself, more working hard to be responsible, more over-delivering, more undercharging. Of course, that's not sustainable. We can't work more hours, burn ourselves out, not be paid for it, and expect that that's sustainable. The good thing is, once you learn to reconnect to your felt sense and to work on somatically releasing the nervous system dysregulation that comes when you start to relax. And I used to feel this so clearly. I would go, I'm only going to work 3 days a week. This is my new boundary for myself. And I would work 3 days a week. And then I would do these things like, I'm just going to sit on the couch. And whilst everyone else in my family is watching a movie or while we're having game night, I'll just be over here on my phone checking a few things. And that checking a few things becomes 2 or 3 or 4 hours. So even though I'm telling myself I'm not working because I'm not in my office, I'm stretching myself over many, many hours because relaxing, being at rest and trusting that I am supported, not only by the soul of my business, but also by the universe, and that I can trust that the wild woman authentic self in me will tell me when it's time to act. And so until then, I can chill the heck out. And the good news is once we do the alchemy work, once you are working on the visibility block through somatic release, nervous system regulation, and also a bit of mindset magic, because I like to combine all three, what happens is that you release yourself from the fear frame and are able to step into the freedom frequency. Now, the freedom frequency of an overpreneur is what I like to call the pulsepreneur. So the pulse tells you when to actually move, and it's a felt sense in your body, and when to relax. So, and as opposed to the overpreneur, the pulsepreneur is not working through duty, through obligation. And that's something I should have mentioned. When I meet an overpreneur, almost always, they are the people that have been taught to serve others before themselves and given very clear conditioning around your worth equals your work. So you cannot receive through ease. You must work hard to create success. Often something that I find in people that have come from like families that haven't necessarily had like a tertiary education, and then they have really given their children this conditioned belief that the only way to get success is to get the perfect grades at school, then go to university and get the perfect grades, da 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 da. And unfortunately, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably don't fit into that matrix anyway. And so that can create a real dissonance in what you believe and what you've been conditioned to believe and what your authentic self desires to create. Now, when you're working not through duty, what do you work from? You work from desire. This is the second chakra, like life force energy. And this is also life force energy that helps you to understand when you're in creative flow and when there's an ebb and there's time to just rest, relax, have some joy, freedom, playtime. The key for an overpreneur when you're stepping into the Pulsepreneur is you need to normalize creating only when you are lit up like a Christmas tree. You need to learn that rest is sacred. Now, rest is going to feel uncomfortable for an overpreneur to start with. And so what I give overpreneurs, and I also myself as homework, is many micro snacks of coming to stillness and rest during the day. So simple things like using a physiological sigh. In fact, let's do it now. This is just a really simple breath technique that helps you go from an activated state into a downregulated state and into, or approaching at least, parasympathetic nervous system. Depends on how activated you are to start with. So put your hands on your chest, one hand on your belly. We're going to breathe in twice quickly through the nose if you can, and breathe out long and slow through the mouth. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Homework snacks. I'm talking snacks because we need to normalize for your nervous system that going is actually not the set point that is healthy for you and your body and your beautiful mind and soul. The other thing is this sensuous, like creative vibe. So launching in alignment, waiting until you have a sense of what would feel juicy as fuck to offer to the world, that you are so lit up about it, that you are naturally magnetic to all that you come across, because your magnetism comes from your creative potential and your desire and your alignment. And that is a body-based thing. It is not something that you can reason from your brain. So launching in alignment, sensual magnetic offers, creating offers that actually feel as good for you as they do your clients. Now, I would say that's a foregone conclusion, because when I stopped over-delivering and undercharging, when I started to only talk to the paradigm shifters that I was calling in, so disruptors, rebels, revolutionaries, they're already on the edge of their expansion and they're ready to step off. And also they are unapologetic. So they're usually midlife, often neurosparkly. When I started speaking to just those people, my entire business model and my entire office suite completely changed, because all of a sudden I was calling in the people that did not match me over-delivering and being the fixer or the caretaker or the provider of all things in business to someone, which is how I'd set myself up in my first business. When you make sure that your office suite is actually something that you're excited about, not something that you're like, oh my God, my calendar is like, we've got 35 calls this week and oh, my body is like locking up just thinking about it. But that's just the way it has to be. That is the catch cry of an overpreneur undercover. That's just the way it has to be. You have to work hard. You have to hustle. It's only for a little while. That's what I used to tell myself. Oh, we'll just really, really, really work hard just for this one last launch. But it's never just the one last launch, right? So that is a quick little introduction to the overpreneur. So key takeaways. Ask yourself where you're in overpreneur mode, where you are over-delivering, where you are doing things out of duty, where you're doing things out of obligation, where you are setting yourself up to be unsustainable, where you're so busy working in your business that you don't talk about your business and work on it so you are not attracting more clients. And if you are very honest with yourself, get under the reason why. Get under the reason why. And like I said before, when I was introducing this topic, I'm calling these visibility fear frames, but honestly, they are running your business on autopilot. So yes, they're impacting your visibility. They're also impacting your satisfaction, your contribution, your cash flow, your ability to influence and create income, your ability to lead a movement. Like if you're here, you're a paradigm shifter. So you are designed to lead a movement, to be a visionary leader, to be someone who is creating new pathways, new paradigms. We can't do it when we've got these fear frames running the show. So ask yourself that, and remember, your soulmate clients are not buying what you're offering because you're working hard or you're hustling. In fact, I would say that is the opposite. That is actually repelling energy. So they are buying your truth, your joy, your magnetism. So the more that you play, the more that you're in your body, the more that you connect with that creative fire, the more that we can see who you really are. And that wild woman, when you let that into the world, you're like a big sun up there, just radiating. And clients are like, I'll have what she's having. Thank you very much. So that's the Overpreneur in a nutshell. Thank you for joining me as always. I trust that you are enjoying these snack-sized episodes. And if anything that I've shared with you today rings a bell, or if you don't relate to the Overpreneur, but you know that you've got something sneaky under the surface that is stopping you from creating the type of soul-aligned, sustainable business that you truly desire, please join me for Raw Live. We are going live September 23rd to 25. If you're listening to this podcast episode after that, it will be available evergreen. So you too can sign up and join us. It's $33. You'll learn all 9 of the fear frame archetypes, understand which one is yours, and learn how to alchemize into the freedom frequency. So you are free to share your message, your medicine, and your magnetism just by being unapologetically you. And that is what I want for all of us. So much love from me to you. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If this episode lit a fire in your body, in your business, deep down in your bones, please take a moment to drop a rating and review so more rebels just like you can find us. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with your disruptive rebel and revolutionary friends who are ready to roar right alongside of you. Until next time, stay wild, stay unapologetic, and stay fucking free.